We talk on the street.
He has all the, he has the mysteries that has opened out within him.
But I'm sure, I thought the best way to introduce Dada to David is to another Dada. What happens in the world is when intermediaries get in, then everything gets diluted. But if they get the direct,
so he believes in directness,
from you,
directness,
yes, it's
directness, direct connection.
Without any bias.
So same we also got, because I had such an occasion to get reared up from the childhood in his laps, because my father, my dad and they were together right from childhood and throughout their life, in business too. They were in construction business in India, and I, having got through in civil engineering, I also joined that, like that, and that was the chance. But in my 33rd year, in 1963, I happened to realize through his grace my supreme state within, self, perpetual self state within, through his grace, just out of certain circumstantial evidences that happened in the house, and it happened. Grace. And the leaf that was upside down, vision, turned right up. In 1963, somewhere in March. And from that day one till today, that vision, with that vision wise, and today, of course, through the grace, it got so stabilized. And in the process of all these years, having subject to so many tornadoes and whatnot, yet vision remains straight, the things. Pacific is serene, calm, though so many, all these things come, but never goes beyond the limits. If little is there, then what can be the situation of everybody? That everybody fears that natural disasters can come from air, from water, or from land, anywhere. Today everybody fears, because all these natural processes are over interfered. Interference to a degree or extent is okay. Even elders and parents also do not mind children's interference to an extent, but beyond no. Okay. But here, Mother Nature, mother can be dealt with anyway. Mother, after all, we are children, we can't deal anyway. That is how it is. Too generous, right? Yes. Because our human life and human structure is with such a built-in, inbuilt factor of safety within, that nobody just understands and go on using this entity, that is the body, as if the factor of safety is going to last. And then at a certain point of time, when the testing time comes, oh, this suddenly it has happened, everybody gets scary. 100 factor of safety. But as engineers, we won't allow that factor of safety. And America is very pakka in technology, of course. Designing structures and all these things here, and what we design in India in engineering structures, the factor of safety difference is there. I remember about 20 years back, the Russian Prime Minister came to India. He saw and he was shown all these things, and when he saw the structures there, and he just exclaimed that, "Oh, you are using lot of steel and cement and all. What is required? Then 3, 4, 5, 6 times you are using. You are misusing the resources, because factor of safety is inbuilt is too much. 4, 5, and here 1 This is good. From that angle I see everywhere and I like it. Technology, of course, it is there.
Good.
But in this body, nobody takes care of that. Nobody takes care. Mother Nature. You see, having gone so far in technology and science and innovation and everything, every field, but after all, the basic problem, the inner peace, where is it? Where is it? President Bush must have, though he wanted to serve the country naturally, but when he was in Texas as governor and the freedom that he had got, he will not be having now. Oh, no, sir. He can feel, but he can't do anything now. What to do? That is how it is. But really, the present day science approach has got to be directed. Of course, everybody is trying to see that humans and humanity achieves better standards of living, so that there are less disturbances inside and all. But the efforts are otherwise and other directions. But with human and individual as the center and the goal, nobody does that.
Is human, if you want to say in one sentence, what all scientists are doing in different fields, all these activities. I was thinking one day, when you're walking in the lake, what are we all trying to do? I mean, you're doing this, I'm doing this, medicine. And you can say they all are looking for happiness, but I think intuitively what they're trying to do is to find a solution to be the master of time, to conquer time. So that they can, everybody, if you look at it far beyond, because I could never see 100 years from now, somebody expecting that there is a time lag between London and Oak Ridge for 5 hours. He'll say, why should that be 5 hours? Can I bring that closer? See, I'm far ahead. And then of course that can stretch to, time beyond the finite plane that can touch. So eventually their efforts are every human, every scientist, in him is to be the master of time.
True.
And you can see in our daily lives, 30 years ago, how we did not have the computer, and we have great joy now that you can communicate. So I think that's where the civilization is heading, to conquer.
No, but to conquer time and to be after
to be the master
victory, yes, master of time. But after all, science, present science, how the time is understood.
That's what I was going to
And that is where the nuclear physics and nuclear science that I heard from one. And now they applied in the spiritual thinking also. They take this science there also and trying to understand time. That time is linear. Is it so?
Time is not linear.
That is what I am.
Time is not linear.
Time is
Einstein?
not linear?
No.
That is what I mean. Einstein.
No, what I'm saying, if time...
No, that is a different thing. But science, as it understands. I know. You. Oh, wow. There. It's your greatness that we have to bow to you and you are greatness. Nice. એમને ખુરશી પર મૂક્યા શાહ સાહેબ ના પછી જવાના છીએ ઘરે જઈશું આપણે જય સચિદાનંદ.
David is here.
Yeah, I saw that.
David, would you like something to drink?
Anything?
You're going to meet with us.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
What's occurring?
You got one daughter? One
I have one daughter and one son.
son? Son doing what is it?
My son finished his freshman year at Emory in math and history,
Mhm.
and is working at Kroger in the deli.
So, math is a good subject, of course. But
No, but he'll be going for masters.
He will probably go for a law degree too.
Law degree.
Yes, they both want to be lawyers.
so time, what you say, is true. But science has not been able to reach the mystery of time. Thinkers were there. Visualizers were there. Based on it, a film also was made. Maybe. Books are written. You see? But nobody can reach the mystery of time, because time as an element nobody can reach. It is beyond human reach, of whatever reach of science one may have. But the science of the time is beyond human reach. It is within the reach of that inventor of time who is not given to any of the body activity as a siding type. He won't be in any of the physical living and material living and all material aspects, all mundane aspects, living as an inventor of the time, so that he can get freedom. After all, to conquer time, what must be the ultimate goal? To be free?
To be timeless.
That is free.
Yes.
And how we are, nobody is free, bound by time, or no?
I think you're free, but you have, as long as the soul is in.
No question of soul now.
In the, okay, just the time.
Are you bound by time? Everybody other in this sense?
Yes, we are all bound.
Is sure?
Yes.
Everybody knows that?
Yeah, we are all bound by time.
That is fine.
That's fine.
That is the freedom. Freedom is there. And it is not that everybody's search is not towards that freedom. Even scientists, definitely scientists. The scientists are open people. They want to search. You see? But in the search, where it ends, where everybody feels nothing, then some sort of concept or on this put, the time is linear. Because you cannot reach it. The more you go to catch it, it goes evades you, further, linear.
One scientist said, somebody asked me to define time. He said, as I define time, I have consumed time. It's very correct. See? And so it looks like what it,
Rather, time consumes him.
time consumes him, but he says, I have consumed.
That is naturally, because his pursuit is like that.
So the question of present is the
Exactly, the pursuer has to be the inventing type. And an inventing type inventor, as a scientist, in its originality of the nature of time, to be in such a direction in this live physics, that none of the physical aspect within or without can block his invention. You see, it may be intellectual, and that is the greatest force within. Who can reach that? Intellect. Who will reach? Because it is under the grip of time. And with grip of time, and with that as an instrument, as an inventor's main instrument, and to get freedom from time, how can get one freedom? You follow? So that that is how. So freedom is there from time, but time has to be understood. So elementally, time is different from the time as understood by humanity, by scientists, by philosophers, by mystics or theologians or ordinary level, everywhere. So times that way in the theory of relativity gets divided into two aspects. You see, original time is there because elemental time is there. That time, under the dual pursuit of seeking release from the duality and to reach the originality as an element, to taste the freedom. That is another, and that is relative time. Relative time, and original element time is real.
That is absolute.
So in science and scientists also, they will not accept term absolute, no, because science cannot accept this mundane or physical. Science cannot accept that, can it? Real as an absolute. There is nothing like absolute in terms of scientists, is there? But Einstein ultimately
understood that.
Said, and then he did that.
Yes.
But he was put aside. and Oak Ridge was the point where Japanese people suffered a heavy damage. So, first bomb was manufactured here. So,
The uranium bomb.
which Einstein never wanted that. He understood the disastrous aspects the moment it was tried to be applied. But he was against, but he was put aside. So, very people who want freedom are bound, but do not want to believe that we are bound and we are as slaves. We are free and we will protect our freedom. That's how it is. There is a world language. But for this, for scientists, exactly as science, and that can be helpful to humanity and everywhere. You see? So this time, relative time, and in this relative time, this science, nobody could reach. That is how to call linear. But actually, time is, relative time is cyclical. Understand? Where nobody can find the end unless the circle gets complete and closes. That's all. And then the real time is realized as a time totally distinct. That means you as a free state realized free of time distinctly as the center. So cyclical time and the center is different. Center is not elemental time, but center is the state where in body and soul relationship, soul as a center and body as subject to cyclical time phases of their life and lives altogether, subject to constant. It goes on and on. It goes on getting developed. Africans are on the cyclical time, on cyclical stage of development are say 100 degrees. Here say we are at a certain degree, those are further up. But as development goes further and when the belief that is the basis of all development of humanity, very belief, only belief, only belief, comes to a stage of such a ripened state as to believe in rebirth, life after birth. That is a ripened belief. at the level that there has to be a cause for this life to be passed out. And in that belief state, sort of thinking that has developed is that you cannot do anything in life, though you want to do so many things. Desires are there, but according to desire, it does not happen. You propose many things, but then ultimately you have to attribute to the God that God disposes. Ultimately, somewhere you have to throw it, and at such a place that it does not react. God is the best place. You will come out to do now. That is human life. But indirectly also everybody tries to reach God. Indirectly. But according to the belief. Belief. So development is on the scale of belief. Hindu belief, Islam belief, Christian belief, you see, Iranian belief, there are so many beliefs, Chinese beliefs are there. And according to belief of all these things, the things go, nations grow, societies grow, everything. But as humans, as an element, individual element, universally, qualities of the humans are human-like. Beliefs may vary, no doubt, but unfortunately, because of such great diversity, it cannot be found. It's very difficult. But science has to come to this help at such a state that after all, without interfering with the religion or politics or in any sense, if it is tackled on an individual level, understanding type, and a scientific approach to the life is given, scientific approach to the life and living, then definitely it can make difference. Is it not so? For example, everybody in everybody's lifetime tries to get reformed or to reform somebody else, or to get improved or trying to improve others. Always. This is the constant state of living. But in the principle of time and in the principle of the nature of the scheme of whole existence, particularly on human being, at human level, which is the highest form of life development, with infinite powers opened out. Infinite in the sense that with those powers one can reach and realize one's state that is perpetual, distinctly separate from the body state that is temporary, with all its phases, within or external. It's a very complex machinery. Don't you think so? Please tell me. Don't you think so? Or that nuclear science is complex? What is it? What do you think of?
Human.
So much. What is this? Doctors, they try to reach. I saw that picture, somebody sending here, and you know that?
No.
You did not see that picture?
Which one?
તમે કોઈ જોયું છે કોઈ?
Journey to the center of the earth.
Journey to the earth.
No.
Fantastic journey to the whole body.
Fantastic voyage.
Yeah.
Huh?
Fantastic voyage.
Huh?
Fantastic
voyage.
Fantastic voice.
Fantastic voyage.
Fantastic.
Voyage.
Yeah.
Good. A nurse and a doctor and a scientist also was there. And they're trapped also. Some escape has to be there, because it is a submarine that goes in a flow. And submarine, for it to get escape, needs water only. So the body getting lost here, where to go? And time is running out. So scientists, tears. They can go, then I can make them all right. That go on. And he puts this computers, so many things. સાહેબ પિક્ચર હતું એક વાર ચાન્સ મળે તમે જોયું છો મને પાર્ટલી આઈ સો જસ્ટ આઈ વોઝ જસ્ટ વોટ આ લોકો Julius Verne and this and that, so many, everybody, time machine and what not. See? So, this science has to be applied particularly to human aspects and human values and human life living values in such a way that given any situation for anybody at any given point of time, in any nation, state, place, wherever it is commonly applicable to one and all, right? And that science has to be a science with the center which is within every body, with everybody as a soul. Let us not talk of religion, God or anything, but as soul, everybody. One week understand spirit, okay. Soul, a center, and with that as center, if the science opens out of the life and living as to how to live the life in such a way that that center, we are approaching to the center, or we are feeling the positivity and positive aspects of the center in these dual aspects. And that will be a balancing thing, definitely balancing thing. But to leave the science on this circumferential periphery in a cyclical time that very body is subject to, and there to believe that as center on a moving merry-go-round, how can you reach it? There it is very necessary that in any of the body activity and body right from birth end, no one can do anything. It is 100% effect, nothing beyond. 100% effect.
No causes.
100% effect. Even a scientist doing a scientific experiment or whatever it is, whatever activity in any field, any human being doing, whatever activity that is being done is nothing but an effect that gets acted out, and the belief is that activities I am doing. It gets acted out because it is subject to this cyclical time. Subject to means everybody knows there is no choice. Everybody knows. But nobody can believe it because on that belief state that development is not there. If scientific approach is given and one starts, it does not require scriptures or difficult words or anything. A simple understanding, layman understanding. After all, everybody would like to change the modes of living and life which one but does not like, which are adverse, which are unhappy-like and all these things. But can anybody affect any change in that? Impossible. So there has to be something where that change affecting activity can be there, effort can be there. Where can that be there? It is on the side of belief side. So belief is the basis of whole development. And that belief means what? That I believed I, existential state. You see? And that is the very most important. And there everybody has got chance and power so long as breathing is lasting. Breathing lasts. Till that one has power. So that power has to be utilized. So that power is very spontaneous, very spontaneous, and real power is there. And in the field of that power, though it is so divide is so fine and so subtle, it's very difficult to reach. But if understanding is there, the changes that one can make is on the present type side to give the direction to the belief opposite of what one experiences, which one does not like. So give the direction there. You see? So feeling aspects go on getting diverted and changed on feeling sides. You see? That is how it is. And that can be done by various ways. By developing through the speech medium, through the thinking medium, or whatever it is. But belief medium is the best, easiest. Easiest to develop in opposite state of what one does not like. You see? So it nullifies, it's a balancing force there. Because what is not liking, those forces are subject to cyclical time, and their effect and effective, and they will be phased out. They have to be phased out because they are in the grip of time, and it's a fleeting thing. It goes on right from birth till end. It goes on and on and on. Nobody can change it. So what change can be made is on existence of one's own state of belief. On that part only one can change. So in life also, decision making processes are considered to be the main processes. Decision. You see? But the life and living, which is everybody says, oh, it is predetermined. It is subject to good luck and bad luck. You see? What can we do there? Though efforts go on. You see? So in the deeper determined aspect, fixed aspect, decided aspect, one goes on living. To make changes in the decided aspects, that is not possible. But while breathing, one is existing and living. Where one can affect the change, there this science gets applied. That this situation, it puts me in such a distressful state, unbearable state, because of my thought process happened, or this happened, that happened, this activity happened, this. It makes me so. You see? So for that, of course, religions and all this they give, but it is all in such a scriptural and technical manner that nobody can reach it. But here scientifically it is given, it can be understood. That you revert back from that situation. You accept it as a mistake. Accept it as a mistake. And for that mistake, one has to feel repenting, quite with heart, and ask us for forgiveness for that from sources, live sources to which it belonged, due to which that unhappiness occurred, or if it is due to thought within, ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness from whom? It can be forgiveness from the air or nothing. It can be from something, from the center within, or from the one whose believed state of God is that, from that God. Okay. If it is Christ, you can Christ. Do ask, nothing wrong. Whatever one believes, ask for that. You go on the process. So changes can be there. You see? What would you say in the scientific term bhav? Bhav.
Yep.
Dravya and bhav. On the level of science, you just please put to Bobby. You talk.
Bhav is the closest English scientific word is intent or intention. You know, what was behind every act there is an intention. And there are very few instances where
instincts,
intent,
feelings.
Yeah. It is It is intention, but with, it's,
No, only look my much.
feeling, And the reason the word feeling it has to be there is like let's say we do an experiment. We have an objective to do an experiment. Okay, we want to find out something. So that is also an intention. But bhav is an intention which is with the feeling
Of ownership,
with the feeling of ownership.
of doing.
Yeah. So with responsibility, when you do an act, so the whole thing is what a scientist does is he looks at a certain experiment, and Shah, you can help me. I'm sure you know the answer. I want to say that it's not just intention, because your intention could be with feelings. It could be without feelings. It can be very, why did you do it? Oh, we say just for the heck of it. Okay, that's also that we say that in common parlance. Why did you do this? Oh, just for the heck of it.
Right.
But bhav is you
Intentful feeling.
whether it is for pleasure or it is for pain, but it has to have that feeling aspect in that act embodied before you execute it. So the scientists who have these deep feelings to unfathom something or to do something good for the humanity, to do something good, will design that experiment in such a way that they have,
You can divert the intent,
they expect
course of the intent.
that's the result. But supposing a bomb is made, like we make a bomb and say this has to be used for peaceful purposes, for protection. Let us say we do that, again protecting the enemy. On the other hand, like what we did on the Manhattan Project or something, it was definite, pretty much sure that we were going to use that on somebody to stop the war. So that was an intention. So Dadaji's thing is the science of absolutism is, the foundation is this bhav. That's where everything starts. The causes, the seeds are put there.
So absolutism shabda, it may be difficult for anybody to grasp it or believe it. So the science of existence, existential being, state of being, and that is with everybody. A tree does exist. Life is there. Science knows that, right? Existential state. But the expression is not there for that existential state to say that I exist. Yet it is there. You follow? It is the form of life development that is there at that state. Where only out of that material, dravya means material, live material coverings in the seed form is so much so in such a subtle form, so much so that it grows out into a tree, big tree, with all those coverings, except the one where the touch sense feeling is open, that's all. Only touch sense. Other senses are not there. Taste sense is not there. Smell is not there. Touch sense is there.
For the tree.
If you touch, they do feel. If you cut, they do feel the pain, but they can't express it. They can't express it. It is. There are carnivorous plants. We know that. Big human beings also in Africa. So here maybe they are there. See, the nature is a life, existing, existential state. So existential state belongs to soul aspect. A soul exists in migratory soul state, existential state in various forms of lives, amongst which various means four only, basically four, amongst which human form of existential state is the highest developed state with all the full five senses and an infinite power source of mind at mind level and intellectual level with a developed ego and developed consciousness it is there. Follow? Well, this is in human beings. So also in basic forms of life which are below human being levels, yet in our central plane where they are in association with human being, they are there. Right from one source, one sense source, life forms, to full five sense opened out source, creatures and animals, everything, they are there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, vision, and this. Very powerful. Are they? Which are the most powerful out of 5? Tell me. Bobby.
Which is the most powerful of the senses?
This one. This one. What is the function of to taste? Taste? Only taste? Or other function is there?
It's got one bad function too.
See the fun in this machine. All the senses have one function.
Except for the
And out of this 4 senses, this is taste sense is given to the tongue. But the tongue is given 2 aspects to perform, 2 functions. One taste and one to express. That is one of it. And that is in human beings all. Right? So very simple. Very difficult.
And there is no bone in tongue.
Boneless. And it can break the bones of Almighty, everybody. Wonderful. So one sense from that, second sense, you see where from the stationary form of life, even though one sense is open, existential state, it develops further into taste type. That is what you see in sea, near the sea and rivers and all that. Water, the taste has opened up. There's starfish, these, that, crouches, all these things. Only taste, and both these 2 are there. It's there.
They combine taste and smell.
But then it develops. Fishes are a developed form, of course, but the primary forms, I say, they are there. Starfish, this, that. Then third comes after that. In taste also, you can see the worms, etc. They don't have any, only taste. They grab earth, throw out earth. And fertile human brains use them in the horticulture. Humans are very fertile, most fertile. There is second sense. The third sense is the smell. Ants and all those types. Very powerful sense. And whichever sense that opens out is the most powerful amongst all these things. Very, very powerful. Ants and all these things. We try to protect from ants this thing, but they have got such powers to build bridges and reach the point through their own thing. They don't need resources from outside to build a bridge for the pot that is given in a pot where full of water and in the center that sweet thing, so that ants do not reach there. They do create a bridge and just try to reach. In the process some die also, but they don't. They do go there. You see? Secretions and so many things. Right? You see, a silkworm to reside creates own house, cocoon, which becomes very tomb for the worms. Because fertile brains. Now that secretion and that moving and all that, just like a bobbin textile, how nicely. But these people realized and they said, oh nice, this can be opened out and put nice. And they did it and put it in a very cold waters and they put it in cold waters.
Hot.
Not cold.
I don't know.
Boiling water.
Boiling water, hot boiling water.
So they get loosened out, shrink wise, and then the silk.
Undo the silk.
And they can follow. There is taste. Then the fourth one is this flies, butterfly, this, that. So wherever they say light, because out of darkness, the first time they see light, and they get attracted. Even though they know in the sense that death is a certain result, that they go near and they get burnt. That reason, very powerful. And the last is this, with two forms. Without development, with holes, and then little development, and more and more and more and furthermore. And the highest form of development, most developed form is in elephant. Very intelligent animal, intelligent. Elephant is considered very, yes.
Good memory also.
This is elephant, highest development. So these five senses, and with five senses but limited mind, animals. Intellect, everything is limited to the extent. That is how. It's difficult. So
The time span.
So now comes the development that further uncovering of the burden over the soul, coverings over the soul that happen in the natural process, then human form gets acquired. Bobby. So acquisition of the human form is the highest achievement in this whole scheme of the existence. It is very high form. It's a great achievement. And having achieved this, right from the primary state, it goes on getting developed. You see? Stone Age belief. Belief gets developed. We call that Stone Age, true. But in those times, human life and human settings and everything was human like according to the times. Cyclical time. You see? It goes on changing like that. What history do we have? We may claim science and all these things. How much can we talk? Millions and billions we talk. Out of what? Just inference? That's all. Is there proof? You observe this, that's all, the only thing. It is a cyclical time, and body and soul relationship is subject to that in various forms of life according to the generation of forces in human form created and go on getting rewarding out. Slips may be there so that one may fall down, and in the natural process to come back to humanity again, that natural process is there, but that is natural. Up to 4 senses it is natural, and 5 sense, all these things, then it acquires something, but those 5 sense creation is out of humans.
I see.
It is not through nature. A human can become an elephant. You see, chief minister in a kingdom given to protect the treasures of the state and all that, protects it for its own selfishness, is not correct. So it's a negativity that is earned. And that negativity results in the lose of the human form into an elephant form that gets born, comes there itself in the state and gives service to the state as an elephant. It has to do that. You see? How? So all five sense creature life and all these things and humans have direct relations. Angelic forms and humans have relations direct. Hellish forms and human have direct relations. At this scale, the direct relationship with human forms is there. And below five senses, all is a small slope fall. And from that to come back is natural whole process. It goes on, natural. And that too orderly. Perfect orderly, and there time factor comes. Time is the greatest, greatest what? Greatest we cannot use because we are living in this world, but a supreme manager of the universe. Though we are time managed, yet the human tries to manage the time. It's a great irony. And freedom is sought there. You follow? And that can be sought only upon the realization in the human form, and which is in these times which is possible. Of course, it is a principle through the grace of a self-realized state, living state. And that was that, and so many got that realized. I realized, and my realized state stabilized into the experience that was his within, and same mine experience. Experience wise we are the same, though form wise we are different. Containers are different, the content the same, and that can be seen in anybody. Yes, sir. But after realization is the basic thing. To realize as to, after all, I am Bobby, true. But while I got born, was I Bobby? Was it so? When you were born?
Did you?
No, let him say. No, I am asking you.
Yeah.
You talk to me directly now.
You asked.
Come on now. When you got born,
When I was born.
you were Bobby?
David.
David?
David.
Bobby or David?
His name is David.
David, oh sorry. David, you tell, reply. When you were born, were you David?
When I was born,
Who are you?
I was just a baby, which some parents.
You knew that I was a baby?
I can imagine.
Then you came to know. Afterwards.
But I developed into David.
But when? But as a David, how it developed that I am David? From where it
You're
came?
David?
How did it come?
How did I?
Starting point that I am David.
That you are David.
No, you
Oh,
say.
me.
Tell me that.
I grew up in a.
When you came to know that I am David?
I'm not sure. My earliest memories were
Right.
a fireplace.
Exactly.
In my family's house.
No, you see, you are baptized and you are given name. Right?
I was given a name and baptized later.
Later, of course, that is true. You are right. I know. It is always later.
Yeah.
But name. But name also is a ceremony, sir. Name is a ceremony. In our case, it's a great ceremony to give name. Normally, in our community, you love it to listen. That whenever a baby gets born, you see, baby's aunt is called. Aunt means father's sister. Baby's father's sister. She is called. Please come. We have a baby, and come. So she'll be guest, very valued guest, and for the purpose of giving service, to give name
To the baby.
Yeah, father, sister will come and give the name. And because she has come and given a name, it's a custom that she is given something in return. But oh, you have given a name? This is okay.
Some gift.
Gift. It's custom there. But here is different, of course.
Yes.
No, now modern times are totally different. Modern times are changed. Times never are
Pick
same.
it before the baby is born.
Yes, right. So, when the moment David, so everybody, oh, David. And though at a certain age, still you are not conscious to know yourself as David, yet being referred to as David from so many sides goes on getting stabilized in you as being David. Gradually, and then David, the moment David, yes, you be conscious and you get acquired. And then definitely, and then as the structure goes, intellect develops further, because the structural confines are becoming larger for the intellect to grow. Structural confinements. For babies, structural confinement and a adult structural confinement are different. For the intellect to reside, to grow. Growth needs something to stay. Even a family grows needs a bigger house. You see? So that is how it grows. So whole day. How can one live the life, borrowed life like that? How long?
A borrowed life?
I am David. Was it not a borrowed name?
No, it's a given name.
With price or without price?
I think with lots of love.
God has name?
A God has name?
I'm asking you.
The name that was given in the Old Testament was He Who Is.
That is true.
And the Hebrew Yahweh means He Who Is.
That's true. In their belief and all that.
Yeah.
That's true.
He who is.
He Who Is. That's what it means in Hebrew. But it was so sacred they couldn't even say the word.
But how come it sometimes is being said generally, is my God? How come?
I think when people develop a relationship with God, they probably get very selfish because they talk to Him and they feel Him, they think about Him. And the reality is He's not my God.
Oh, right.
Your God.
Yes.
Our
Everyone.
God.
Our God. That's true, right. That's the correct word. Word is there. Correct word is that. So in the life and living also we have to be like that. But when one lives as I, name bearer, definitely is attached with my and myness. My. Always.
My name?
My.
person?
Yes.
My
name, my hands, my body,
and
my mind, my house, everything. Everything, relations, mine. Everything. Why? Because body name is the name given to the body, though yet one becomes the owner of the name, that I am David. That is the point.
Yes.
Well, that is the sign given to this body to be identified as David distinctly from all, so that all relations and living aspects can be dealt with, right? It's a given, that's all for that purpose only. How can we belong to that name as if it is a perpetual entity? A passing entity is believed to be of ownership in a perpetual sense. How can it be, sir? Can it be? And yet it goes on. A bishop, true, but same thing. A bishop in what sense? Bishop in the sense that he is a spiritual teacher and like that, in that sense. But it's a relation and relativity, you see, because we go to the bishop, it's okay. It's a relationship, right? It has nothing to do to believe in God as God, that relationship should be in such a fashion as not to reach the God. How can that be? You see, after all, what is the ultimate goal, final goal?
For all of us?
Yeah, to be one with God. God is not something other than what we are, or we are not anything other than God. Otherwise, how that belief about the God for being as God, something different from us, can be there? Unless that God is within, how that can be there? For that God to exist anywhere. Can it be there? It has to be there. And here is the science. Here. So he propounded this whole thing, after all science, two types. Material science, which relates to everything, all life and living, that is exterior and mundane, and inner science, that is the basic science that relates to soul. Soul as omniscient power, omni-knowing power, infinitely blissful, and infinite energies and power. Soul, absolute powers, various, and basically two: to know and to pursue. Two means it is not the body activity function, but it is the quality, attribute of the soul, that attribute function, perpetual attribute function. A diamond is there. For it to be understood and known as a diamond, unless we know the quality of a diamond and we visualize and realize that as diamond, then it is diamond. Otherwise it is a piece of glass. You see, but it does display the diamond qualities. And the diamond on its own is not displaying the qualities. It is the quality of that matter and material mass to get displayed as a diamond is there, therefore it is a diamond. A crystal glass appearing like a diamond, or an synthetic diamond, what we call, in which this country is very powerful.
Synthetic.
And they are very attractive than real diamonds, are they? You don't know?
About real diamonds and synthetic diamonds?
Lot of difference.
Huh?
Lot of difference. Synthetic diamonds are very shining and glary, and real diamonds won't be that much shining.
Real diamonds.
Real gold will not be that shine, but plated gold will be very much shining. You believe? You are the scientist. Gold plated, you know, no? Gold plating, and any metal will shine. But real gold will not be that shine. You whatever you do polish, but it won't shine. The difference between the real and the relative is like that. All relative and relative link, and the real God that is within, not only us but everywhere. It is within the tree also. So the God concept and belief, that has to be properly, if it is grasped for anybody, irrespective of belief, let the belief be there different. But basically too, for that belief to be where? Not anywhere where according to certain dogma it is believed, but it should be applicable to everybody. not according to dogma or cult or a system. If that is so, then such a vast universe cannot exist in such orderly state. It will be disorderly, won't it be?
It's pretty disorderly out there.
No, that disorder what we rejoice today is different. It is because the orderliness of the world is directly related and connected to the orderliness of the human mass. It is a direct connection. Life and life forms other than human life forms are in tune with the nature, but because of the disorderliness of the human aspect, when it generates in the cyclical effect of the times to such an extent as to interfere in the orderly aspects of the nature that goes on, the disorder appears everywhere, but actually it is not so. It is subject to cyclical time again. And because of the cyclical time, during that phase of cyclical time, whatever we are there, we will be like that only. In the 8 or 10 years age group, whatever we should be like that, 8 and 10 will be like that. But we won't be so in the 14 and 16 age group like that. That is a different state. It goes changes. You see how it is. It goes on and on and on. So soul is the basic science. Science is at the level of soul. Very soul is the science. That is center and free of time. And there elemental time and freedom from elemental time comes. Because soul as knower and seer with the attribute, with the out of infinite powers. Knowing power and seeing power, that is the latent power of a soul as an element, perpetual element. You see, if only in human form that can be realized, if it is realized through the grace of a realized, experienced state, live body, with the live body as a medium and the grace that is within and experience, that grace comes. And through the grace, our ignorant covering aspects, they go on getting removed, which is basis for all sorts of beliefs in the life, which are of temporary and passing nature. Those beliefs get removed and your belief gets set onto your soul as the center, as you distinctly separate from the body's self, that is as believed soul, believed soul of the past life, now living out and phasing out the sufferings that is subject to the time. Subject to the time. Not only time, subject to the other basic elements are there. So basically in the universe there are 6 elements, perpetual. If at all, now when we are talking in terms of science, there are 6 elements, out of which soul is one. Now soul, one means all these souls are different in different forms. So individualistically existence type, souls are different, but quality and nature is the same of all the souls. Same. And that is subject to experience. So experience can be the same in different bodies, though bodies are different. With a realized soul state as an entity, experienced entity, vis-a-vis all the life relativity, that one experience, after realization the experience opens out gradually. You follow? So basically these 6 elements, soul, second is matter, and the real relation is between soul and matter. That is very, very tough, constant combat, soul and matter. Soul is not in combat, but belief part is in combat. So belief part, but soul is always there, it is under the cover. So wherever that cover part, which is belief part, life part, migratory part goes, soul is there, so long as the release is not there. only in human form that realization can be there, that's all. It's a realization, self-realization. Self that is true, permanent, perpetual, blissful, and with all absolute knowing, seeing powers, but that realization that is opening out. And with that vision, it is a divine vision. And that vision constantly guides you in the life all through after realization. And then your life goes on as before only, no difference, same life, but in a different state. Before, I as David, now after realization, I as pure soul, a realized state, with David as my immediate close neighbor, and I am with David as with a neighbor relation. So you will not become soul in its absoluteness, but the opening is there, beginning is there, and that beginning results into absoluteness over a span of time. It results automatically. And life goes on lived out. Everything will go on. You will go to office, you will do research, everything you will go to say. But difference will be this. And it will be, on the contrary, much efficient. It will be not subject to tiredness. Let me tell you. Tiredness in the sense that when I am David and I am conducting this experiment and I am doing this work, there are limits to which you can do activities, beyond which you get tired and you need rest. Not that here you won't need rest, but here the things will go on naturally. And whatever life activities go on getting naturally are very efficient, let me tell you. Don't you think so?
You mean after self-realization?
Yes. Very efficient. The thing or whatever functions you'll be doing in 10 hours will be done in 2 hours. At that efficiency, but it develops gradually. This is my experience, I know. Out of this 36 years, I know. I have been active in life and all these things. It is experience. It is his experience too.
Yeah.
But he wants me to speak out all these things.
I got a lot of questions, but I didn't want to interrupt. Does that matter?
See, 6 elements will talk to David.
Okay.
Soul and matter is the basic. With other 4 basic elements which are there all the time, but they are not directly responsible for our life and life activities, though they are there. Their presence is there, that's all. But their presence is there. What are they? They are space. Space is the basic element.
Yes.
Do you follow?
Yes.
And in this scientific days today and scientific talk, when we talk about time, we also talk about in terms of space also. Time and space, right?
Time and space.
Lot of discussions, so many, right?
Actually, in physics, they say if you say time, it's already space is inside.
That is exactly. But
Because there is
time and space are 2 different entities.
In our-
Entity-wise, no culture power. It is a perpetual fact. But what is space after all? That you have to understand as an entity. And when you understand space as an entity, then you can realize as an entity, it is distinctly separate from time as an entity. Both are independent and eternal. You see? So, what is space after all as an entity? Space, any entity has to display certain qualities, attributes. Otherwise, it is no entity at all. Is it not true? So, space, if it is perpetual and perpetual entity, what qualities, how do you understand that? Well, basic, only one function, an entity for the space is accommodative power. Accommodative power.
Accommodates.
Power. That belongs to the space entity. To provide to accommodate infinitely, infinite ways, everything. That is space entity. And that entity has to be how big? Tell me now, as a scientist,
It's infinite.
size wise.
It has to be.
Sure? Otherwise, how can the whole thing be? Tell me. In infinite ways. Infinitely. Infinite objects, everything. But how? If it is not entity, and if it is like that in different, then it is not an entity, perpetual entity in pieces. No, it is not so, sir. Is it so? Can it be in pieces? No. Same space accommodates this bottle, this glass, this tray, all of us, everything. Yet that space is the same one. Infiniteness. Infiniteness. So space is one as an entity, let me tell you. And it is infinite. Infinite. But now we, as human beings, and talking in terms of science, in various ways, as well as in terms of religious practices, spiritual, social, every activity as human beings. You see? And while though we deal as humans our activities, what about these trees and creatures and all these things? World does not belong to them? Do they not need accommodation?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
We are the provider.
No. But we act, we are providers.
What about angels? We look to them. Oh, please come to our help. Children, oh, everyone. And hellish. Too much. They do need accommodation, even though it is all suffering. But what to do? You see? And suffering aspects have to have that accommodative aspect by the space in such accommodative states where sufferings are of that nature there. It cannot be at any place where these sufferings cannot be there. It cannot be at angelic form state. Can it be? Hellish sufferings, how can it be at angelic states? Can it be?
Hellish forms and angelic states.
They are totally different. Hellish is negativity, negative sufferings, punishments. And angelic punishments are positive.
Angelic punishments are positive.
Are they? After all, what is life? Is life punishment or not? Tell me, David.
It can be at times.
Not always?
Not always.
When it is not?
When it is not, life can be very good.
So there is other aspect than good also? What is it? Bad? Or that. So if life is like that, subject to such good and bad, what is life after all? Life has to be life. It cannot be subject to like that. Then where is the sense of being good in a good times when there is opposite of it as bad? And where is the fun of having such a life? Real fun has to be that we should be free from both good and bad. And yet good and bad things will be there, but we are not subjected to it. That is how we have to live there. How? Human beings, we say we are powerful, this, that, so many things. Why not this way? Why science does not go this way and find ways and means of life and living and all these things that live this? Right? Positive, negative, we speak so many things. So positivity is the real human scientific way of approach of life. Now positivity in all these things, in life we say, why all these things happen? Prayer books and this and that. Why? Because very soul is within us. The soul is the very entity which is of infinite blissful nature. It is within, but it is in a box. Just like a Pandora's box, so covered so much so. And it is infinitely blissful, and because of that basic trait of the soul, in the living form, as living form, belief, we are in search of happiness. Because the very entity, all blissful, is within. But not knowing who am I, and our belief state aspect is exterior, outward, turned away face, that we seek happiness and try to grab it where we can. That is how. But the experience is, it flees away, it passes away, and we feel unhappy. So, the very search for happiness that can result into an unhappy state, how can it be called the correct direction of the search? Right or not? So there has to be some cardinal rule, guiding principle behind any human life and living that should be easily understandable by anybody, layman also. That then where to go, how to seek the happiness? Well, it is the way. Then he showed a simple way. Whole world talks of religion in various ways and various states. So after all, what is it? To lead a religious life, or say positive, whatever it was. So he said that to cause hurt to anybody by thought process, mind is thought process, by expression, expressed or within. Expression can be both ways. Or by behavior. If you cause hurt to anybody, that very activity is going to recoil back on you. So, as you project, so is the echo. That is the principle. And this application, and scientifically it has to be, life is nothing but echo. That is the effect. That is the result of the projections of the past. And projections are basically through verbal expressions. Not that one can be free from verbal expressions, they can, but for that we have to know the science. Realization comes here, you see. Because verbal expression is a body function, it is not the soul function. It is soul function. It is, their science is there. And that science, all the basic elements are at play mutually. And main element, basic element at play is matter. Matter, acquired state of life matter, acquired state I say, not original. Acquired to life, like living, like that matter is very responsible. That matter scientists cannot reach. Very difficult. Nobody can reach there. Very difficult. Follow. And there everybody wants to change genome and all these things, and they think that they can structure nothing. Impossible. Science cannot manufacture blood, though synthetic blood is done, but it is the play of chemicals, oxygen. But the coloration, even if you give, it cannot be original blood. It can save the life if injected and removed. Leukemia, this, that, and time gained, and operations, and something can be done. But the fellow will be white, and anybody would ghost, something like that, when it is injected, because it is colorless. I saw that in New Jersey, in the laboratory. Yes, it is there. Synthetic blood, you know that, no? You don't know?
Heard about it. I haven't seen it.
No, Dr.
Science.
Bhagwan Patel.
I saw in the laboratory there. Oh, Dr. Gurdhan Patel of Mehsana. He has invented that. And he has given all this. So many things are there. So 6 elements: soul, matter. Another 4 are space, infinite. But from the theory of relativity, it is understood in 2 aspects: a occupied space, that is occupational part of the universe, where universe as an existential state is all there, universe, and that universe composed of all the forms for which to get accommodated and get existed, to exist through angelic forms, human forms, creature forms, from one sense to all, micro to full develop, and the hellish forms. Whole. So a space, whole, one, and in that whole universe as one existence state where whole thing is there. The central planes, upper planes, lower planes. 3 basic aspects: middle, upper and lower. All the 4 forms of life. But basically, human form is the springing board to suffer out the various forms of lives in all the 4 forms. Human form is the basic form, is the springing board. And from there, human form lived out with human quality lives gets retained as human form according to the quality of living and life and the quality of the development of the belief process. Different stages getting born. There is a definite qualities in that seeding. Seed. You see, seed activity. If human form life lived out with obliging nature, without any expectations, in spite of negativities, and yet over that ignoring the negatives and again to oblige, living human life with such superhuman like and such a obliging nature, results into higher, lighter forms of life with more sensual joys, with vast boundaries, not limits, vast limits. That is angelic forms. It's lighter. If human life is lived with loss of human qualities and accumulation of creature-like qualities, according to the type of accumulation, human life gets slipped into the creature forms. For that to get suffered out. Unless it gets suffered out and phased out, it cannot revert back to the human form. It's a process, natural process. God is not responsible for that. No. Though we as human beings believe so, it is not that. It is all natural. It is all by oneself, for oneself, as one entity, as a material part. But belief part, which gets born, phased out, so long as that belief gets removed through grace and the right belief gets set with soul as center and body as subject to cyclical time. You see, then all the events of the life and activities of the life with soul as centered realized state is just gets known and seen and viewed as the other activities with self-knowing, seeing activity distinctly separate from that. And in that case, the freedom from time is already attained by that centered state. You see? Because the time relates to the seen and known part of the matter. It does not relate to the knower and seer. So, seen aspect of the matter is subject to time and cyclical time, not the seer aspect. here is independent of the time, and there you get freedom from time. And there is the relation of the center with the circle. Circle means cyclical time subjected to life and living. You follow? So soul, matter, space and time as an element and time is different, and as in relative time is different. Relative time is subject to all the passing through phases till you get the center realized within yourself, and that anybody can. And then everybody in a realized state too, bodily are different, but realized state they are of the same nature. It is not that they can merge in the one and two, but their experience becomes same, similar. You understand? The two fellows of some matching nature, they come together, they feel we are one, like that, though they are different. You see? But here it is not fellows, it is the original thing. So experience grows. Experience wise, there is a unity. But relative living wise, the differences are there. But with that experience state will not have any difference with anybody, not with one's own body also. And likewise in anywhere, wherever visualize like that. And yet the dealings will go on. They will be dramatic. They will be
Acting.
dramatic. Dramatic, you understand? Superfluous rather.
So they go through everything.
Ah, yes, nice, wonderful. Same things go on. You see? So, soul, matter, space and time, another two elements of the for existential universe. So, space occupied by this universe is called universal space, and whatever is the out of the whole space, one aspect as a entity, whatever remaining part is there called non-universal space. But whole thing as a space is only one as an element, let me tell you. Such a great power. It's wonderful, and it helps you a lot in understanding the soul. Soul as an entity, if you want to understand, you have to have some simile here to understand. After all, it's all thinking, well, how do you understand soul? Soul, what is soul after all? As a scientist, I would like to know how do appear like, how is it? So we have to have some simile. Well, in physical simile, soul is compared to mirror. Soul state as an entity is mirror-like, as a gross simile. Mirror. The mirror reflects the object as it is without getting the mirror transformed into the object. Mirror remains the mirror, object remains the object, and yet object gets reflected. You see? But human object, very wise and trying to test the mirror, say, and mirror is here, and he, hey, you are boasting, you are reflecting everybody, now reflect me. I say, sir, you are wise enough. You come before me and you will get reflected. But people are wise, human beings are wise, you can argue anything. Mirror cannot. Can mirror? No. That is simile. You see? Soul. Gross simile. Now gross simile is okay. Because a sparrow going near the mirror, just like me, you gets tired, then moves away, then again comes. Same thing happens in our lives. Same thing happens with the soul within. So another simile by which we can understand soul as an entity which is very subtle. There is no subtlety in the whole universe that can be compared with the soul. Therefore, it is extremely difficult to give simile, yet to understand that subtlety, a subtle simile can be given. Do you want to know?
Yes.
In that case, a soul is space-like.
Space-like.
Exactly. Soul and space, entity-wise, have same quality, attribute. You follow?
Yes.
What is that?
The soul
What is
can
that?
be everywhere.
What is
They
that?
occupy everywhere.
Exactly. So, occupability, accommodational aspect is the same for both soul and the space. But not in the same way as space has that quality. There difference is there between the soul and the space. They are the same nature, yet existentially they are different. They both have don't form, no form. Both are formless, but as entity, existentially, they are independent. Space has one, and soul, every soul is individually formless, yet existential. But in a state where soul in a liberated form, where infinite souls are there, just above the universe, after realization and the last as a totally getting freedom from all the elements and being onto as a soul in the infinite state, in the final body, it appears there gets lost. And where only space and liberated souls are there, that's all. Other four elements are not there. So only in the universal space all the six play between the six eternals is there. And out of those, main play is between the soul and the matter, main play. And time comes into context. Then space and all these things. And that is how matter, time, and then space also is included. That is how we go searching for these things. So now we came up to soul, matter, space, time. Another two are there in the space. There also there are two entities, and they are just like space, they are universally one, all pervading, but one only. It is, one is motion and other is inertia. Two entities, perpetual entities. Now they are there universally, universal wise, all through as catalysts, but they are there. How? In the absence of motion, everything is still. Everything is still. You see? And in the absence of inertia, existence of the universe is not there at all. Nothing can be exist. So, for the universal state, perpetual, from infinite time, still it goes on and on and on like a circle, where there is one cannot find neither a beginning nor end. Center continuity. It is like goes on in the whole life, till the realization for one who comes, he gets realized, and the realized state just above the universe, they are liberated states, the liberated souls form. In the last human form, a container-contained relationship, just like this glass is there and water has no form, but I pour water from that into that water, so much shape is the shape of the glass. Otherwise water cannot be given forms, it has to be contained somehow, you see. But how do you contain mind? Can you? The way you can contain water. Water can be contained by utensil or something, just you put it frozen. That means you can bind it, right? But how mind can be contained? So human beings try to go to control the mind. Control is a good word for them. Because they themselves, being controlled by the time, they are so habituated to such a controlled situation that they ever go on trying to control everything. Highest of the high, let me tell you. Is it so, sir? Why but? If you are free, why should you control anything? Be free. But everybody tries. That's how it is. So these two elements are very important. Motion and inertia. And because of these basic two elements, and other of course, that whole universal existence, you see all the time it is there. And the puzzle gets solved amongst all these 6 perpetuals in the human form. And in the human form only, after realization as a soul, as a perpetual entity, as a center, in the cyclical, whole universal wandering, that is the experience. And the experience, having opened out, grows into absoluteness in over a period of time, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 lives like that. Because these present times, even though science has developed so much so, and means of happiness is in abundance, but one never could have imagined. 50 years back, you see, one could never, so much so, and yet maximum unhappiness within, right? Means of happiness all around, and yet happiness within. How is it? It's, how science cannot tackle all these things. If you want to increase the means of happiness, it has to be to a purpose and the meaning. You see, if it is not so, then where is the science? And what is the mistake then? The mistake is the science has gone so far in the realm where it should not go for the human beings to pursue science. That is not given to them. The result can be this only. You see, that to what extent you should go to the science for happiness. That basically a human being, what are the needs, basic needs? To fill the bottomless pit.
Yes. No, the basic need is to have other souls that you.
That is different. But basically, unless your pit is filled, how can you help other? Yeah. Impossible. So basically, pit, you understand? What is that?
It's the emptiness. Oh, your stomach.
I said bottomless pit. It has no bottom. It has?
Some cases.
Some cases? Oh.
So every day and day in and day out, you have to just throw in and in. How can? Where does it go? It does not come to end.
We're always hungry. But I think we're hungry for more than just food. We're hungry for
Basic needs, what I mean to say. You need air to breathe.
Yes.
If it is not, you need water, basic air and water. You need food so that your hunger gets satisfied. That's so. Not that this food or that food, but food that is amenable to your physique. Okay, that is there. Nature is bountiful. Is it not so?
Yes.
Is it so stingy that I should be so for this and this, not this? No, so bountiful. But out of greed, what do we do? What do we do, sir? It is a natural law that any human being getting born has whole life sustaining resources around him in the radius of hardly 10 miles, 12 miles, not beyond. So his or anybody's world has to be only through that. But now they are conquering the world. What to do? For science, you have to go to Russia now for this purpose. Why cannot be dumped anywhere else? Why not? Why not in America? Everybody raises, shouts, not here. Mountains, no sir. Desert, no sir. Trash has to be put somewhere. You can put, but this is atomic trash. Oh God! What is that? Atomic trash is too big.
atomic trash?
Huh?
Russia's going to take it all.
Huh?
Russia says they're going to take it all.
Are you serious?
As long as you pay them.
It's a real fun life, to understand life, real good thing. Things go on, that's okay. We are not here to change anything, to understand. And life is nothing but whole continuous process of understanding and life and living. And to what end? An end that is a carrot and stick running, or some sort of rest somewhere, so that we have not to go and get running. Some people like that. In the life, everybody does like that, right? Or carrot and stick. What?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes, carrot dangled. Go on.
Keep on going.
That is the fun of the life. And such a valuable life is getting lost. When kidney is not available, you stand in queue. Doctors, right? And demand is great and supply is so small. What to do now? Kidneys are not that easily available, sir. Why scientists don't develop kidneys then?
Yeah.
That's true, you say that. That's true.
The machine
To some extent, there are limitations, no? Limitations. So, motion and inertia are very important. Motion is responsible for everything living that is there, for that living to be in motion. Do you follow? As well as for matter also to be actively in motion. In the subtlest form. Today, this science has reached to the subtlety of the matter to the extent to which it can reach, but not beyond, and beyond which it is much subtler, let me tell you. And that is, theologians speak in the language of ethereal forms. You see? Ethereal forms and so many things. Various people see in different. You see? They are there. And the whole universe, that is, living material aspects in a very subtle form, are there. At the same time, matter that is responsible for the building blocks of the live bodies, which are there, basically there, which are actively and subtly existing in existence, they are there. Unless those are there, no body can ever get formed. But those get, unless they get activated, I say activated, body building blocks cannot get congregated and gathered together. They have to be activated. And that activation is not without the presence of the soul. Unless soul, that is how soul body and soul matter relationship is there. Soul matter relationship. You see? So that matter is very active. And here this science, when it reached the matter to this level, in its active state, and realizing that whole this theory of relativity resulted in from that only. But as a human science and outward science, it has been classified as basic elements, and so you see all these things. No, it is one element only with different attributes. But basically, this matter active element has its own attribute, the way space has. Those attributes are in certain form which are responsible for body building blocks upon getting activated. And now they cannot get activated of their own, but they have got to get activated through a media which is of their quality. And their subtlety is there. And that is on the belief part. So belief part is a material part. It is very subtle. Science will not reach it. Impossible, sir. Only those self-realized, enlightened states can reach that level. And it is, activation is there. And it is at the mental level. Mind is very subtle, very, very subtle. Even medical science cannot reach mind. Consciousness, these gross experiments are there, but nobody can reach that. Various ways they have done. No. Intellect, the cells, brain, all these things they do. That Einstein's left portion of the brain is 15% larger, therefore it resulted into this invention. That they will say that. And these people say all this, anything they can do. You see? There is all this white matter and grey matter. All these things. And they know, science has gone, that there are billions of cells, and in the whole life, how much is utilized? Hardly 5-10%, and it's all waste. And if all these cells are so efficient and active, what a human being will be? But it is impossible. It can be, but it is impossible. But even then, the solution is not there. Solution is only when you get freedom from those brain cells. Do you understand? They are very powerful. Their grip is so that octopus is nothing before that. Physically, we feel octopus is a great gripping animal, but it's nothing. Brain cells, sir.
Brain cells.
Nobody can reach it. Nobody. So, motion and inertia, we say, motion, how is it possible for all this whole universal motion? Well, motion is passively present there as a perpetual entity, as one throughout, where everything that is live and living matter is subject to motion, which physically we can describe. You follow? Not for the inbuilt, inherent quality of the matter, activity there. It is, their motion is there, but it is so much inherent there that, but in atom you have got released it definitely. But again, it is part and parcel of the whole thing, and here the interference has occurred. Interference. Motion element is interfered to such an extent that that is the result. They want to bring it to stillness. It is not possible. It is open. Gin is out. The bottle. Now it has come into common hands also. No? That is how it is. It is like that. You see? So motion and inertia. Inertia means wherever motion is there, that motion is not a motion continuous process, and motion does not come to inertia, but because of that inertia element one throughout the universe being there, that motion comes to steady. Yes. Because of the regulator. It's a regulator. And that is also a passive, just like a catalyst. Now, for motion, to give you example, fish swimming in the water. Water is a media, and unless that water media is there for the fish to swim, fish cannot swim. There, water does not take any part for the fish to swim. Does it take part?
For the fish to swim,
Huh?
it just provides the media.
No, it does not take direct part.
No.
It's a passive, catalyst.
Right.
In any reaction, catalyst does not take direct part, but being presence is there. It's like that. So 4 elements are like that: time, space, motion and inertia. 4 are like that. And main play is between the matter and its soul. That's the whole this thing, mystery.
That's the science.
The science. चलो जी 8 वाग्या
एक पुस्तक ग्रंथ થઈ ગયો દાદા
डेविड
અંગ્રેજીમાં ઓરિજિનલ ઇંગ્લિશમાં એક ગ્રંથ
but listening regarding the demise of your passing of your wife, I felt, and my condolences for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I would like to.
Dada is a great guy.
No, I can understand. I can see it through and through. I can see him through.
Any time, even in her deathbed, she was planning to help somebody. You know, she's obliging nature. Means Bonnie was. I always remember Bonnie like that. Both obliging, and he's also.
So today's session is over. You may be finding it little boring, no?
Finding of what?
Boring?
No, no. I was sitting here thinking, trying to follow some of your trains of thought off into my own.
No, I know. No, it's just too subtle. We have taken you to such a depth that Pacific is too shallow. Let me tell you. Pacific is too shallow. We are trying to talk to you at that depth. Yet, it is not that difficult. If an experienced professor is before you, just to follow. You see, experience is like that. Experience is a great master, but that has to be in live form. But if it is not there, an experienced professor and learning professor, then he has to ask us to rely on books. This, that, something. refer this. You see?
If belief and patience, two prime qualities that are required for total freedom.
I know. That's true. Yes.
That's
Sure.
what you said.